Hello, my name is Eric and I'm doing another one of my photography vlogs, challenges, whatever you want to call it, called One Body, One Lens, One Roll, One Day. Today I am at a picnic area in the Mill Street Run Reservation, part of the Cleveland Metro Parks. It is a very bright, not a cloud in the sky, September morning. There was a little bit of chill this morning. I got my sweater on, but I might wind up taking it off because as it's warmed up a little bit now that the sun's out. Today's camera, my Pentax 645N, however, I do have a different lens. It is the 200 millimeter f4. So in 35 millimeter equivalent, that's about a 120, 135, kind of a more of a portrait-y type of lens. So it's a little bit more tight. And usually most of my landscape stuff is kind of wide and stuff like that. So I'll probably try to isolate a few things, leaves and the stones and stuff like that. Today's film is a roll of Lomography Redscale. I got a batch of this off of eBay and didn't know the condition. So I did a test roll of it a couple episodes ago. Check it out, kind of looks like Martian landscapes, kind of cool. I shot it, I pulled back one stop. I do like that result. I will continue to do that with this one. This is a 200 speed film. Take that back, this is a 100 speed film, and I will probably pull it back. Yeah, I'll probably pull it back to 64, so 2/3 of a stop. Maybe not a full stop, but 2/3 of a stop. And that'll help out with the age, plus the fact I like my negatives a little dense. All right, let me load it up and let's see what we can get. Now, Redscale film basically makes everything with this reddish or orangish tint to everything. Take a look at my previous episode, you'll see what I mean. So Martian landscape, think that. Now, depending upon how you control your negatives, if you slightly overexpose or slightly underexpose, you might be able to flex that a little bit to maybe instead of deep reds to lighter reds, or instead of reds, maybe you get some oranges and stuff like that. Me pulling this back 2/3 of a stop is more of a correction for the age of the film, but I did get decent results at the previous episode at 50. So let me shoot this up and let me see what I can get. With the long lens, it's going to be a little bit tricky because I'm not doing big landscape stuff. I'm doing more concentrated areas. All right, hang on a second. All right, that was like an f32 because I didn't check my lens. Fired off at a 1/6 of a second. There's no way I'm going to be able to handhold it. Now, this particular lens does have an A on the aperture ring, and what that means is that you can set the lens to an auto aperture, and I can set my shutter speed to auto, so I could have this camera be a full program. Except the lens is manual focus. This is not the autofocus version, so I'd still have to manually focus that. But I do like doing aperture priority myself, so I like having my choice of the f-stops to control depth, but I will leave the shutter speed to flex on its own. I just have to keep an eye on it so I know if I can handhold it or not. All right, let me try that shot again. That's better, about a 350th of a second. Now this particular lens, its focus is really long. It's about 3/4 away around the lens. So if you see me focus, I might be rolling it like this a bit. I'm going to show you a couple of cool ways on how to hold a camera properly for best stabilization, which one I prefer, which one I probably would suggest that you don't do, especially with the medium format. But let me get one or two more shots. Be right back. All right, so when it comes to holding cameras, you can do do them a couple of different ways, whichever way you're comfortable with. Those of you that grew up with cell phones in your hands, you kind of know the double-fisted. It's not so easy to do with this camera. But with the medium format and most 35 millimeters, I would probably not do the double fist just because of the fact that it's very front heavy and I've lost some stability there. So cell phones, maybe point shoot cameras, yes, that works with bigger cameras, especially with longer lenses. It usually does not. Now those of us with interchangeable lens cameras, both film and digital and medium format, usually you would have one of your lenses, one of your hands by the lens, okay, and one by the trigger. Now, I'm a big fan of left hand by your lens, right hand at the trigger, so if you see something, your trigger's ready to go, versus you holding camera steady, trying to focus, trying to do everything with one hand. It does make it a little bit less reactive when you see something that's going on. If you try to do it that way, I'd rather do this, focus with this hand. Now, as far as that, two different ways to hold it. You can either hold it in a U shape. You'll cup the lens underneath that supports it. Even maybe have the palm of your hand underneath it. Those lenses with a tripod foot poses another interesting thing, which I'll get to in a minute. But the main basic is, hand underneath the camera so you can roll your fingers to change your focus. Some people find that uncomfortable, or it does, put some wear on your wrist, and they can't put the weight there, use that as a support, which I get. But then I would try the C shape. And you can use your thumb to support some weight, and your fingers roll up here. Does maybe not quite as stable as underneath, but it does provide additional support so that you can grab the lens and you can flex this hand if you need to. Now, those cameras with a tripod collar kind of come down. You could put the tripod collar, on the palm of your hand, boom, right there, and it'll stick it up a little bit. Or you might want to grip it too. But then that pulls your fingers a little bit further away from the focus or your zoom control. If you've got long fingers, it's not a big deal. If you've got smaller hands like I do, okay, it's kind of a big deal. In which case, then you can do the C, and your thumb kind of can roll underneath where the tripod foot plate is. The other thing that you can do is, if you like doing it this way and you don't want that tripod foot on the palm of your hand, you can rotate that tripod collar usually to the top of your camera, or spin it out of the way, and then you could shoot it, shoot it like this. All right, I'm going to get a couple more shots. I will be right back. Let me see what I can get. All right, so obviously that's the end of my roll. That last shot was f4 at about 350th of a second, easily hand holding at that speed. Because normally with a 200 focal length, or if you want to play it like a 35 millimeter, this would be like a 135. You want to try to keep your shutter speed about the same as where you're at in your focal length if you want to hand hold it. Obviously you could totally go faster. You could go slower, but if you've had too much caffeine or you've got the jitters or something like that, keeping it at that faster shutter speed will help get you good in focus shot. Thanks for watching. Photos will be posted at the end. Again, this is my Pentax 645N. This is an autofocus 645 body with the 200 f4 Pentax A lens. So this lens actually doesn't have an A on the aperture collar, so I can run auto aperture on it. But it is a manual focus lens. So even though the body is autofocus, lens is manual focus. That's the nice thing about compatibility with Pentax stuff. I can go put this manual lens on the manual 645, the autofocus 645, the digital 645, and they're pretty well cross-compatible. Today's film was Lomography's Redscale. I shot a roll of that earlier as a good baseline just to see what I would get. The results came out pretty decent, so I'm shooting this again with a different lens. A little bit more telephoto lens. It was a little bit more tricky. It was more isolating stuff rather than doing wide expanse stuff. If you like the photos, because they will be posted at the end, feel free to give them a thumbs up. Feel free to comment with your own experiences with lomography film or even the Redscale film. I've shot some purple. I do have some turquoise. I haven't shot the turquoise yet. That'll be in a future episode. Otherwise, feel free to subscribe. New episodes come out about every Friday, Saturday, with some bonus location episodes that come out every now and then. I did one in Mansfield Reformatory, if you like spooky places. Did a shot like 5 or 6 rolls of black and white film, including some infrared there. Some cool shots, shot them by section by section. Otherwise, feel free to subscribe. You'll be alerted when the new episodes come out. We'll see you next episode. Catch you later.